Shalom Chaverim, hello friends, and welcome back to another video. I'm Rabbi Stern, and I'm here on YouTube, well, to teach and react to videos, but mostly because I spent a lot of my time that I would otherwise be watching other television and things, watching YouTube, and I'm a big fan. And there's a lot of people that I follow on YouTube, among them various travel bloggers, especially those who visit Israel. I love to see people's first impressions of Israel, new experiences with Jewish people, things like that. A couple who is well known here on YouTube, named Kara and Nate, visited Israel for the first time back in 2019 on their mission to visit 100 countries. And so I thought I'd go back and look at this video. I don't remember it at all, but it's exactly right up my alley. So I'm very much excited to watch it with you and maybe see if I can add anything, or maybe areas in which it'll be interesting to see how they interpreted Israel on their first visit. Before we begin with the video, I'd like to remind you to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and also leave a comment down below. That'll really help me out. Thanks, and now let's get to the video. Okay, I'm excited. I really enjoy their videos, so I've wanted to do this since I started the channel, so let's get into it. I wouldn't have got that close to the vendors. Yeah?
We're Kara and Nate. Yesterday, we had a super long journey from New York to our 96th country of Israel.
A lot of people make that trip.
After a slightly rough start to the trip, with Nate being sick and losing his luggage, we spent yesterday just relaxing on the beach. And by some miracle, his bag was delivered last night. Now that all that is behind us, we are super excited to get out and explore Tel Aviv.
This is a country that we've been looking forward to exploring for so long, but for one reason or another in the past it just hasn't worked out, so we are so excited to finally be here.
We are staying in the Florentine neighborhood, which is a really cool area. It has lots of street art, really cool vibes.
It's a fun neighborhood.
And it's also where the Levinsky Market is located, which so many people told us to go to, so that's our first stop for the day.
There are lots of great.
The Levinsky Market was started back in the 1930s when several spice.
There are lots of great markets. A market is called a shuk in Hebrew, and so there are lots of great markets that will sell everything from nuts and snacks to spices to clothing to souvenirs to food, shawarma and falafel, all kinds of stuff, really. So it's really definitely a stop people should make when they go.
Owners started opening up next to each other in this neighborhood, and today it's turned into a major spice and produce market. But what's interesting about it is they're not all housed in the same complex. It's more of just a neighborhood where all the shops on the ground level consist of spices and produce, so it gives it this super unique vibe. It's a really fun place just to come and wander the streets, and the reason everybody told us to come here is because it's like a less touristy, more authentic version of some of the bigger markets here in the city.
What goes well with ginger?
I'm gonna apple and ginger, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, I'll take that.
Lots of juice stands too.
Thank you so much.
If you like juice or vegan food, Tel Aviv is definitely.
This place is filled with fresh produce, so we had to get a fresh pressed juice. And the streets here smell amazing. It's like a combination of citrus with spices and bakeries, and they're playing music. I love it here. Thank you. We got invited to dinner tonight, and we didn't want to show up empty-handed.
Let's go.
Good call.
So one of the very first things that we noticed when we got to Tel Aviv is that there are these rideshare scooters everywhere, like more than we've seen anywhere else in the world. So we are taking the local form of transportation to the Carmel Market.
Watch out, everybody.
Also, it's half price if you ride together. We're getting killed.
Oh gosh.
I guess 4 years ago maybe that was less prevalent here in the US.
Whoa, get some speed! Oh, this is so much fun.
I don't know how you're testing.
Let's stop here. Let's stop here.
Okay. We have made it to Shuk Carmel, which is the largest market in all of Tel Aviv, and it is packed.
I love
This is
seeing
crazy. They have everything from spices to produce to sunglasses and bathing suits, fur hat, cosmetics,
Everything.
jewelry, shoes, souvenirs, backpacks, suitcases, rugs, magnets, keychains, record players, stuffed animals, boom boxes.
So today is Friday, which means this evening is technically the start of the Sabbath. So not
Shabbat.
only is this market packed with tourists who are shopping for souvenirs, but it's also packed with locals who are picking up food to prepare for tonight's dinner. It's a Jewish tradition on Friday night for everyone to get together, friends and family, for a big meal to kick off the Sabbath.
I think that's fair to say. Shabbat dinner is a big deal in the Jewish community.
Bonjour à tout le monde.
De Tel Aviv. Bonjour de Tel
Tel
Aviv.
Aviv.
French Jews in Tel
I love the
Aviv.
energy in this market.
from all
Everyone's
over
just
there.
constantly yelling. Also, I've lost Kara.
He means it.
So the plan was to take the bus to the Jaffa market, but as soon as we jumped on, Kara realized she didn't have her transportation card, so we illegally rode one stop, and now we're back on the scooters. But we're down by the coast, and this is like the best possible place you can ride a scooter.
Until you hit these cobblestones.
So the Jaffa neighborhood is noticeably older than anything else we've seen in the city, and that's because this is the original port city that Tel Aviv grew out of.
If you haven't been able to tell by now, we love going to markets. It's one of our favorite ways to experience the local culture. And this
An important note about Jaffa and Tel Aviv is that when Jews were immigrating in mass during the second Aliyah and the first Aliyah, to grow the Jewish presence from a very small presence to a much larger one in Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, they decided to build a city just to the north of Jaffa. So they bought land that was basically sandy dunes, and from that grew the city they were just in, Tel Aviv, the first Hebrew city, as it's called, also called the White City. So, from the Bauhaus architecture and the painted white buildings. So they are now in Jaffa, which is, you can even read in the Torah or your Bible, they will mention Yaffo, which is the ancient version of this city, and it's been a port city for thousands and thousands of years.
is so different than the first two we went to. It's a lot more like antique-y things and tons of jewelry and really cute clothes.
This is crazy. I'm not sure if this guy's telling us the truth or not, but he's telling us that the show Homeland was filmed in his shop. Madonna's been here. Arnold Schwarzenegger's been here. It's got a bunch of cool antiques. I don't know if that's true or not.
This is possible. I don't know. Cats of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv and all over Israel. There are cats all over Israel, many of them brought in to deal with rat problems and other infestations. Israel used to be a very swampy, barely inhabited place when the the Ottomans and the British over time brought in animals like cats to control the population of vermin. And there are still many, many cats hanging out all over Israel, but especially in the larger cities where people will feed them. And they're very, well taken care of by the population. You can pet them if you want. That's entirely up to you. But they're very friendly as far as cats go.
This is my favorite kind of restaurant.
Gotta
We were
go to
shoved in
this
here.
place.
We're sitting at a table with strangers. They asked us what we wanted as soon as we sat down, and 5 seconds later, they threw our food on the table. Thank you. Here we go. We're at a restaurant called Abu Hassan Hummus, and it's supposed to be the best hummus in all of Tel Aviv, which probably means the best hummus in the whole world. We got classic hummus and masaba hummus, which is like hummus mixed with tahini and beans, maybe. They both have
As far as the best hummus in Israel, there's a place in Abu Ghosh I used to go.
Amazing. I'm just going to eat it with a fork.
I'm also a fan of hummus from Sira in Jerusalem, but it's very touristy.
Oh my god. I really think this is the best in the world. It is so creamy. So much flavor. This is nuts. I don't think I've ever had hummus with such a good kick to it. Like it kind of tastes like it has lemon in it maybe. Oh, look at that color of the olive oil. It's amazing. It's salty.
It's all very fresh.
Creamy. It's thick. It's like rich. Like the texture of it, absolutely incredible. Okay, this is the masala.
So the guys are just trying to take a break, have some lunch.
But it's warm and spicy. It might be even better.
So we've had 2 different people tell us that we should be eating our hummus with onion and using it like a spoon. It's less calories.
You can if you want.
It's also making me cry. But it is delicious. Wow, that was incredibly delicious and
Hummus
super
is
stressful
cheap, for
all
sure.
at the same time. I don't think I've ever eaten a meal so fast in my life. I felt like I was so in the way. I was just shoveling it in my mouth.
Nobody was rude or trying to get us out. Everyone was very friendly for how hectic it was.
Just constant yelling and panic all around you.
I loved it.
I just loved that contrast of the modern city in the background with the minaret in the foreground. Of the old and the new, and I feel like it's just a really good picture of Tel Aviv.
We've come down to the beach for the sunset and grabbed a coffee from a place that everyone said we had to go.
Aroma is my wife's favorite
They said
place
it's the
in
best
Israel.
in Israel. Kind of like Starbucks. It lives up to the hype.
I don't think I'd tell everybody
There's no
that came to the
Starbucks
US,
in
so you have to
Israel.
go to Starbucks, but this is pretty good.
And this
No
sunset is
Starbucks.
gorgeous.
The aroma's great. And so is the sunset. Glad you guys are seeming like you're really getting a lot out of it.
Tonight's what we've been looking forward to most all day because we've been invited into a local's home to experience our very first Shabbat dinner. That's why we picked up the flowers today and we just got some kosher wine.
We're just waiting on our taxi now because all public transportation stops running for the Sabbath on Friday at sunset. So the only way to get anywhere is if you have your own car or if you get in a taxi. We really don't know what to expect. We're going to meet complete strangers, but I asked.
When you go to a Shabbat dinner, you should expect good food. You should expect challah, which is an egg bread, essentially, that is what we prepare for our blessing over bread for our Shabbat meal. You should expect to have some wine. You should expect to light candles. You might sing a little bit. You should have very good food. You might be eating in a kosher home, in which case it'll probably be a meat meal, which means there won't be any dairy involved. Even in the dessert, those will be what we call parv, or they will be without meat or dairy, so that they can go with either food, with either meal. That's what you should expect if you get invited to a Shabbat dinner.
What we needed to do to be respectful. He said, don't ring the doorbell, Don't have your phone on, carrot should cover your shoulders, and I should wear long pants.
If you're in Israel and you're
Good,
wandering
thank
around, you might get invited to a Shabbat dinner randomly.
If you aren't familiar with the
happens.
Jewish Sabbath traditions, it's a holy day of rest when, among other things, no one uses electricity. This includes cell phones and cameras, so we weren't able to capture.
So, not using electricity. There are 39 melachot, or prohibited actions on Shabbat. Among them, starting or completing something, completing something like completing a circuit, creating sparks is often why you can't light your oven on Shabbat. So these are what we call part of halacha, or traditional Jewish law. Many Jews today live by different versions of halacha. They may not live by the absolute traditional Orthodox belief, and that's okay. I'm a Reform rabbi, and my Shabbat looks a lot like the Shabbat they experienced. But many of my congregants have no problem with turning on lights and driving and various things. So it's much more individualized, especially here in the United States.
First Shabbat dinner, but I wish we could have, because it was a very special evening. It was a truly local experience that allowed us to immerse ourselves in Jewish tradition.
Good, I'm
we
glad
shared
you
a
did that.
delicious meal with over 20 welcoming Jews who were super open about their religion and eager to answer all of the serious and silly questions we had. It was a night filled with no distractions and meaningful conversations that lasted until 3 a.m. We are so grateful we got to have this experience, and if you ever find yourself in Israel on a Friday night, we highly recommend seeking out a Shabbat dinner.
Well, we'll see the bloobs. Careful.
Not sure how this happened.
The caramel market.
Carmel.
Carmel. It's not caramel.
Whatever ran into me, it ran into my body.
I stayed in the hostel just up the street from where they are right now on my first ever visit.
I'm staying right here.
Oh my gosh, I feel like we're gonna die. You're going so fast. Please don't kill us.
Sorry. Just feels so free. I'm glad Nate has a cold, so we're not going to be kissing tonight.
Terrible idea.
All of my favorite things.
And this was terrible. No, go back.
I have to go swimming after this to wash myself off.
No way you're going to be able to hear any of this. Do you know where the mic is?
Okay, well, it was wonderful to see them. They really got into it. They really got to see, a good cross-section of things, and they got to experience Shabbat. So really special. I'm glad we watched this together, and maybe we'll watch more of their videos. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see more of this. In the meantime, be well, and of course, like and subscribe and all those things, comments. We love all of it. I love to hear from people. And see you at the next video.